Hi viewers, welcome to CleverNet TV. CleverNet in Diaspora Television is an internet online TV service. We set we set apart as a unique combination of East African content, exclusive international free movies, music, TV events, tourism events, shows, and live interviews. Today we're discussing about the FESTAC Africa, which will be aired in Tanzania this year. Today's topic is access to FESTAC Arusha 2023, which I know it's going to be aired in Tanzania. And we must know one thing about the FESTAC Africa is a world fourth Black and African festival of arts and culture. In Africa, we care so much about our culture, so it's event to celebrate our arts and culture. And today, I have a lovely guest with me in the name of Mr. Pekka. Please introduce yourself.
No, thank you very much. You're just 90% in with the pronunciation. So anyway, I know I have one of those names. My name is 11 letters long. So my name is Leshoho Nolo, and the surname is Pecha. And I mean, if it rings any bell, you can then tell that I'm South African. Leshoho with the a little bit more about the festival that we're organizing down in Arusha, Tanzania. And since I'm the festival director, I hope we'll get to talk more and more about the programming. And yeah, just touch a little bit about the history and the vision of where the festival is going, kind of thing. So thank you for having me, and thank you for other people who joined in this conversation. And hopefully this will be a very insightful and, very interesting conversation that gets them down to Arusha.
It will be. It will be. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we're glad to have you in CleverNet TV today. What does Africa mean to you? We all know, we can see it looking at you, you are an African, obviously. But what does Africa mean to you?
Well, before maybe going to what it means to me, we can then start by premising it by saying that Africa means a lot to a lot of people, right? Because it's not a very unilateral kind of narrative to say this is Africa in that sense. That's why the 54 countries in themselves have different takes to life and different walks through culture in itself. For instance, in South Africa, if you look at South Africa, we have 11 official languages. And these are so different in themselves, but have so many similarities, that then brings us together, right? So why am I choosing that particular line of interrogation to answer your question? Is to also link it to the festival in itself, to say, because Africa means a lot to all of us, and it has different multiplicities of identities that then bring us together, then the festival has these lots and lots of components in themselves. To say there's the business, there's the culture, there's the music, there's the theater, there's, the networking and all that. So what does Africa mean to me? Africa, because there's the, memorial Africa kind of thing, the historic Africa, that somebody thinks about, pre-colonial time, Africa, hey. And then there's Africa of today, which is Burna Boy Africa, is Makadzi Africa, So Africa to me is this very viable cultural vehicle and identity that we assume, but that's not stagnating in a particular inference that is just stuck in 200s or 500s or 1652. It's continuously developing. That's why today you see Amapiano, Afrobeats, but still drawing back from the historical Mbaqanga in South Africa, the Gumba and all that. So that's what Africa is. Africa is, for me, and today in 2022, it's a very strong rooting from where we come from now giving interpretation to that and borrowing from that and giving it meaning in the today in itself. So that's what Africa is to me, is this very serious identity that we assume on ourselves and we wear within ourselves in that sense. So that's Africa to me. I know it's a mouthful, but yeah, that's what Africa is to me.
Thank you very much. There's one point I picked there. It's Africa is our identity, which is true. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. The next question: what do you think sets Africa as a continent apart from other continents in the world?
Oh, a lot. A serious lot. I mean, can take it all the way from the beginning, isn't it? We are where life began, in the human form, the Homo sapiens in themselves. So that alone just sets us apart from a lot of people. So if we understand and agree that, okay, we are the beginning of humans and all that, whether you're looking at Carol of Humankind here or in Tanzania itself, you then see that obviously then it becomes a deep, rich history of a people that comes all the way back, like from the very, very start of humans. So that alone, we have now advantage to say we have this wealth of history that sometimes we don't best utilize, and we should. So we have a wealth of history that then automatically sets us apart. And that then means we're more entrenched into our cultures, our values, because that's the normal African way of living, the issue of orators, the issue of griots, the issue, then that is the culture that we assume in ourselves, and then that sets us apart. Because then, for instance, let me make a small example just to lighten what I'm trying to say. Most likely when you're traveling in South Africa, you'll say Sawubona. Somebody will respond by Sanbonani kind of thing, which is a plural instead of a singular to say Sawubona, right? And the conception has always been the fact that when I see you, I don't see you alone. I see you with your entire ancestry and your entire people that encompass you, that yourself you find within yourself kind of thing. So, those are like the ways that we see life that set us apart. The concept of Ubuntu, the concept of humanism in its sense and how we live our lives. So that automatically sets us apart from the people of Europe, for instance, right? Who would think of life in a more linear terms instead of cyclical, which is how African thoughts and African norms of being would be centered around. So yeah, that's what sets us apart, how we view life, how we live life, and our history that then informs how we view and see life in itself.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. As the program director, the festival director, which you are, tell us, I'm sure so many viewers who are watching and will also watch later want to know about FESTAC. What is this FESTAC festival all about?
Yeah, FESTAC. Yeah. First of all, FESTAC is a 57-year-old festival. So remember our story of history? So its first rendition started in Dakar, Senegal in 1966. That was the first ever FESTAC. And it was under the tutelage and the guidance of the then President Leopold Senghor. And of course, under the tutelage of the forefathers and mothers of Africa, people like Ole Soyinka, and a little bit earlier on, which the foundation became the foundations of FESTAC with Frantz Fanon, Emi and all those guys. So as the spirit of independence was going through the continent and more countries were getting their independence, starting with Ghana, now the forefathers and mothers came together and say, okay, what is the one vehicle that we would need to bring forth, and showcase African culture, experience, and bring together the people of the African continent, in the continent and the diaspora itself. And FESTAC was the idea, which is an acronym that means Festival of Arts and Culture. So the first one happened in Dakar, Senegal, and it was meant to happen every 2 to 4 years. And the next one was meant to be happening in Nigeria. Nigeria at that time was in war, so it couldn't host. So it took Nigeria 10 years to be able to host FESTAC, which happened in 1977 in Lagos. It was so big, you have no idea how big it was. It was an entire month of festival. Imagine an entire month of festival. I think it started on the 12th of January to like the 14th of February, like that. Super many countries that were involved, many African leaders of different countries were there. Miriam Makeba was there, Stevie Wonder was there, Pharaoh Sanders, Sandra, Jonas Kwangwa, like heavy cats at that time. It was so big in Nigeria, it got to a point that no one else then hosted the festival post Nigeria. And that happened for 45 years. It went in abeyance for 45 years. And then a small group of people now, no longer government funded and all that, came through and like, we can't afford to lose that history, that very strong vehicle that FESTAC is, And last year in 2022, brought it back in Zanzibar. And this year is coming to Arusha. It's now meant to be an annual event, this FESTAC idea. So that's the history of FESTAC and where FESTAC comes from. And now you remember the story of linking with our ancestor and our history and interpreting it to go forward. Now the idea is we have added a new component to it. Instead of it just being the culture, the music, and showcasing our way of life, we've added the business component to it, to say how do we also integrate the people of the African continent to encourage trade, to encourage exports, intra-African travel, especially with an element like the African Continental Free Trade Area, to say how do we then grow trade in Africa, I think, which is like 12%, to a healthy level at like 36% or so. So then there's that new component now of business to FESTAC, to say how am I as a filmmaker in South Africa can collaborate with, let's say, a distributor in Lumumbashi in Congo and get a publisher in Tunisia, because already the market is here and the market is big. So how do we then use that? And of course, still have the culture, still have the art, still have the music, the dance, the food, the crafts, and all that. So that's now FESTAC. Yeah, I think I've answered your question on this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for explaining that to the viewers. At least now the viewers, they know more about what FESTAC entails and what FESTAC is all about. Viewers, you've heard what he has said so far about what FESTAC is. It's all about celebrating art, celebrating the culture of Africa. And like he said, they've incorporated also business, which will boil down to so many questions which I have. But before I get to those questions, the next question I want to ask is this who are the people that are going to be attending the event?
Well, I mean, we can start with you. I hope to see you down in Arusha. Hey, why start far when you're here, right? So, I mean, hey, I hope you're the first person to be down in Arusha, and then all the other people watching this interview now, and then we can expand a little bit more. So if we can, Pinky promise that you are coming. Are you coming? Let me corner you a bit.
Maybe,
are you coming?
Maybe by the end of the interview, I will have an answer.
And I'm gonna remember that and then push you at the end of the interview to see. Remember, we have our viewers here and they're looking at you. But anyway, so basically, in terms of the so-called who's who that are coming, our keynote speaker is Dr. Julius Garvey, who's the only living son of Marcus Garvey. That's going to be our keynote. He's going to come down to Arusha and he's going to bring an entire cohort of people from the Caribbean with him. We have a range of speakers. Then I'll touch on the artists themselves. So in terms of speakers, we have Rose Sally, who's the CEO of Sally Publishing. We have Ambassador Jonathan, who's going to do peace and security masterclass. We have our patron. You know that our patron is the former president to Nigeria, His Excellency Obasanjo. That's our other guy. We have the CEO of the Luxury Network. And in terms of performers themselves, we have probably one of the most popular bands now in South Africa, jazz band, of course, Ipopoliga Biko, translated Biko's Dream. They're coming down to Arusha to perform. We have Jambara, who's a brilliant reggae artist from Burundi, but currently in Amsterdam. We have the Burundi Ballet National, which is traditional drummers and dancers from Burundi pulling through. We have sports tourism, which will be run by Bundesliga and NBA. We have Kili Golf, that's going to happen down there. Like it's a wide spectrum. It's a platform where it's a little bit of everything for everyone. So there's no excuse for you not to come, right? If you want to party, there's a very super hot party happening there. And if you want to, proper business connections, it's also a platform for that. If you're interested in sports tourism, especially soccer, being a very, very big thing in the continent. I mean, if you look at in Tanzania, Simba FC is probably one of the big 5 teams in the continent after Al Ahly, Sundowns, TP Mazembe, Roger Casablanca, and the like. So there's a touch of everything for everyone, right? But the main idea with this big program is that you get to experience Africa in 7 days. It's a very ambitious thing to try and do. I mean, Africa has 54 countries and so many ethnic groups and what. But yeah, we're trying to give that experience to say in just 7 days, you would have experienced the food of Guinea-Bissau, you would have experienced the dance traditions of Burundi, you would have experienced the poetry of Botswana, So that's the entire idea, that you get to experience Africa in 7 days. And of course, we also would have other activities and these are ancillary activities to the festival, like going to see the town itself. There's a local tour arrangement, and the out of city, you get to go to Serengeti, Ngorongoro, see Tanzanite mines, Kilimanjaro, because we also want to encourage intra-African travel, to say there's so many beautiful spaces and spots in the continent that before traveling to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower, you can most likely start at Mount Meru, and get to see the beauty of Mount Meru, be it the highest point in Africa, which is Kilimanjaro and all that. So yeah, man, it's just 7 days of Africa more than anything.
That's beautiful. So you're saying all African countries will definitely be represented there. We should be saying like every touch of Africa, of every country in Africa.
If you say all cultures of Africa, I would take a bite or two. How many cultures are there? Like I said, in South Africa, we have 11, and these are just 11 official ones. If you look at the Botswana, for instance, there will be Kilo, Bedu, there will be, the dialects will just spread, and these are unique cultures in themselves. So, but the plan is to have a greater representation of all of Africa, right? Whether it's West Africa, whether it's the MENA region with Tunis and, Egypt and all the guys, or it's the Bantu in the southern parts of Africa, that's the plan, that you get to experience the whole of Africa, of course, in a representational manner, because definitely to try and bring all, 100 and something ethnic groups of Nigeria, versus the 40 plus in South Africa, that would probably need, funding from the World Bank or something like that.
But the picture you're painting is that we would definitely be able to see, like, at least this is South Africa. This is the how the culture feels like. This is Nigeria. This is how the culture feels like. This is Tanzania. This is how it feels like, which is lovely. So, and everyone would love to see and learn about how Africa culture is and everything, and more about it. Which is good. That's nice.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot to learn, and that's the point. Africa, the concept even Africa as a conceptual framework, is such a vast thing. If we were to talk about the Sarwa people, imagine how many other things we can talk about in terms of those people alone, Imagine the things that we can say about the Maasai Shukra. Imagine the number of stories we can tell about the Basotho blanket in the kingdom of Lesotho. So definitely, I mean, it's just a hint of this and that, just to try and expand and open the possibilities to someone, Yeah, when they're like, hey man, I remember I went to FESTAC, I saw this thing about this blanket of these Maasai people, I think I like their culture. Let me, check in more in them or go visit us. So that's the entire point, just to give enough to spark the interest and open avenues and possibilities in themselves.
Okay, thank you. So is this event going to be an outdoor event or an indoor event?
Definitely, that's a good question. At least you're asking in my scope. So it's happening at the Arusha International Conference Center. That's first. So anyone that knows the AICC, it's probably the biggest venue in Arusha, and probably Tanzania. So there's the outside. So let me give you an idea of how the festival is structured, so that a person can start imagining, and convince you to come down to the festival. Yes. But anyway, so imagine, just go on a journey with me to imagine how it's structured. So as you enter the main gate of the AICC, that's the main gate where everyone enters. And then you enter, then there's all sorts of exhibitors. There's Promise selling T-shirts that are written, I love Tanzania. There's Khoto selling, I don't know, beads or whatever the case are. That's where everyone passes. And then on to the left, that's where we call the Boma Village. So the Boma Village, there's a free stage there. And then there's just drinks, there's Serengeti, there's, various drinks from the continent. And then food also, you find what. And that's outside, right? So that's where the main activities of the festival are. So there's that free stage that you're looking at, people perform, DJs, what, different bands, And then there's the Boma Village, you buy your drink, you live your best life and all of that. And then that's the outside of it. The other stage is next to the exhibitors. So there are two free stages next to the exhibitors and the other one at the Boma Village. Then as you enter inside the AICC, that's where the conference is. That's the people who are talking serious English, wearing suits, networking, doing whatever they're doing there. That's the inside of the conference itself. And on the top part of the conference, there's two paid stages. Because also, we want to encourage a sense where artists, it's not just arts or arts in that kind of sense. We also want people to make money, or at least make enough to sustain themselves even. So there are two paid stages just above the conference venue. That's where you pay for those particular shows. And then there's the Sarafina stage. Sarafina is, for those who might not be aware, it's a big deal. Remember, Sarafina also turned to a movie. It's it's the only South African Broadway hit musical by Mbongeni Ngema. It turned to a movie that movie that had Whoopi Goldberg in it and Leleti Kumalo and I think they won an Oscar. Whoopi Goldberg won an Oscar from that movie or something like that. So we have the Sarafina stage that's set up and it's permanent. Sarafina is having 2 shows in a day. There's the day show and the night show. So, and then the last part of the festival is where sports tourism is. So it's like a fan park. When you go 1 flight of stairs up, you'll find Bundesliga this side. They have all screens there, regalia, playing matches as far back as 1980 or whatever the case might be. Then it's NBA this side with a DJ. So the outside part, which is the festival grounds, what we call the festival ground, is the Boma Village, the exhibitors, and the fan park. That's the outside activities of the festival. And then inside is the 2 paid stages, the conference and the Sarafina stage. So that's basically the festival. You can just chill at the Boma Village the whole day, have the time of your life, drink the best beer from the continent.
And finish your money.
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, but yeah, that's basically the festival in itself.
Okay. Thank you so much. Viewers, you've heard a lot about the festival. I'm sure if you don't know about the FESTAC Festival, this is an avenue already. You've heard so much, and there's too many more to come from Mr. Pekka. So, but we'll be right back. Let's just go for a short break. Please don't go anywhere. Just sit right there. See you soon.
Clevenard in Diaspora Television is an internet online TV service. What sets us apart is a unique combination of hit African content, first and exclusive international free movies, series, musics, news, events, documentaries, tourism, teleshopping shows, youth TV programs, and live interviews. Clevenard Diaspora Television is available throughout sub-Saharan Africa and to the diaspora markets worldwide. Take your entertainment with you wherever you go. Watch on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, smart TV, depending on your device. Watch free movies with Clevenard Movies Television. Stop searching for free movies websites and watch Clevenard Movies Television. Watch your favorite African shows anywhere at any time. Don't forget to check out our top 5 TV channels created to get you informed. TV1, Clevenard in Diaspora Television. TV2, Clevenard Youth Television. TV3, Clevenard Movies Television. TV4, Clevenard Teleshopping Television. TV5, Clevenard Tourism Television. To start watching, sign up at www.clevenard.com and follow the easy steps. Once you're done, log into the Clevenard website or app on your device, click on any one of our 5 TV channels, and hit play. We will be very satisfied and happy to welcome you to our team as one of our new business partners. Contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com.
Hi viewers, welcome back to CleverNet TV. Like I told you before, this CleverNet TV is a diaspora TV television. It's here to entertain you. You can watch interviews, you can watch free movies, international movies, and also home. You can watch the interviews that have been done in the past, and you can also watch live interviews. Here with me is Mr. Pekka. We've been talking about the FESTAC event, which is coming up in Tanzania. Another question I have for you is, as someone who is the festival director and you're part of the planning committee, tell us, where do you think you guys will need help? Where do you think people can help you guys just to make sure that this event happens?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the idea of help basically has always been on a person's capacity and capabilities, right? And of course, you're right to say also depending on what help a person would need, right? But as anyone would imagine, that bringing a festival of this sort requires a lot and lots and lots of logistics, and lots of money because you have to book the venue, you have to put up a stage, you want to give people an experience that the best experience that they've ever had, in their lives. Because I imagine there are people moving from Germany. A friend of mine was telling me she's going to be moving from Germany to come through to the festival. So if somebody can fly in from Germany, you better make sure that they're quite chuffed about it and have an experience worth them flying from Germany to here. So that means it requires logistics, it requires a lot of money and all that. And at any point, I've organized so many events. There's never a point where there's enough money. That's the first one, to organize anything. Because also, with more money, it means even the experience, you can make it even a higher experience. Who knows? Maybe the ticket is going to be voice recognition kind of thing. Just put in some 4IR there, and then the person serving you at the gate is some robot or something like that. But the point is that there's never enough money. So happy to be talking to anyone in terms of possible partnerships, sponsorships, funding, and all that. That's the first one. But more importantly, I think the biggest help that anyone can give to us is just to pull through, come through. Let's have a very, very, very exciting and a very, very meaningful engagement of Africans, in the diaspora and the continent in themselves. That would be the biggest help that one can really give, outside of the other things that somebody can easily say, look, I own company X, I can sort you out with lights, for the night shows, or I can give you mics, to mic the performances, or I have lapel mics for the speakers during the conference, So there's a lot. I think to answer that question is just to say, just jump into our website, festacafrica.org, just check the program, see yourself in the program to say, okay, here I can come in, assist in this particular way or that particular way. That would be far easier than just me opening it up. But yeah, the number one thing is just pull through. Let's have a very, very, very insightful, meaningful 7 days of Africans, just having time of their lives and making meaningful connections, meaningful relations, that will serve us going forth, and then it will encourage even knowing each other, addressing a number of social ills like xenophobia and which is actually Afrophobia and all that. So just pull through. That's 60% help in. The other 40% we'll figure it out as we go through the work.
Okay, thank you so much. As you've heard, Amy said just pulling through is enough help you can offer for the FESTAC event. So you guys, you better start getting your tickets so that you can be there. And another question is regarding accommodation, because we know that so many guests will be coming from different part of Africa, and also some people will be coming. Like you said, you have a friend from Germany who's gonna be there. So what's the plan for accommodation for this guest?
So you will see from our website, right, that we have accommodation partners. So what we try and do as a festival, even though it's just an extra administrative issue to us, but we try and make your experience, a little bit easier in getting to Arusha. For instance, before even the accommodation, we have spoken to the 3 airlines that are one of the popular ones in the continent, which is Kenya Airways, Ethiopian Air, and Rwanda Air, to say if you're coming to the festival, there's a short code that you can use for the different airlines, and you get 15% discount, solely on the basis that you are coming to the festival. We are not benefiting anything from that. It's just the airline and you that get to benefit. But we want to assist that process. And we also know that most people in the continent hardly travel, right? So that's why these kind of incentives to try and encourage them. Like for instance, somebody will think it takes them 10,000 US dollars to reach Tanzania. Then you're like, no, actually, with 7,000 rand, which would be what, like 600 US dollars, you get a return flight from South Africa to there. Then suddenly it becomes a different issue. So we have those partners. We have even partnered with accommodation partners like the Grand Melia, Kibo, Four Seasons, but also we are quite aware that those are like 5-star hotels, 4-star, and not everyone would necessarily afford or want to be there, because sometimes it's not even just a question of affording, just wanting to be there. Some people would want a backpacker experience, would want a house stay experience. So our team has just moved into Arusha to prepare even those kind of things, to get even a 2-star hotel, get various houses around Arusha, which if you check through our website in the coming days and a month or so, we'll be adding more accommodation partners to say, if you're coming to FESTAC again, using the short code of FESTAC, you get all these discounts at a backpacker, at a B&B, at this and that and that and that and that and that. And yeah, it's just our contribution to you as a person that's coming to say thank you for coming, and how can we make your life a little bit easier, from the transport to even the accommodation there. We are not getting anything from that, but at least we're happy to assist you because you have honored the call and pulled through to Arusha.
That's wonderful. It's interesting because I'm sure so many viewers don't even know it will take you 7,000 to and fro in rent to get to Tanzania. I'm sure a lot of people, and remember, not everyone has the time to go to the website, but watching this interview, people get to understand, okay, I need to just go to the website and just so that I can confirm this that you have said. It's nice and it's easier that way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So you see, it's becoming easier and easier for you.
You're still trying to convince me. We'll see. Okay. The next question. When is the event starting?
So the event is from the 21st to the 27th of May. It's a whole week, right? So that's the case. And I mean, before the official opening, we'll have some performances just to activate the night before. The Sunday, we have some performances to activate and say, yeah, it's in, it's on. And then the morning, which is the official opening with officials from the government of Tanzania, the speech, the walk around, you get that sense. That becomes the morning of the first day. And then, yeah, at the end of it, we have a closing ceremony of the event itself. So it's from the 21st to the 27th.
Oh.
Yeah.
So viewers, you have less than 2 months to start preparing, start packing your bags, start buying your tickets, start getting ready to go to Tanzania, right?
Definitely. I don't know if it takes 2 months to pack your bag. I mean, normally it takes me 30 minutes or so, but hey, I guess some people are quite
let's just just for some people, Okay. The next question is, how long will the guest arrive? How will the guest arrive? But you've mentioned that already, and I'm just to add to the question, because in a situation whereby sometimes there could be a situation whereby they miss the guests get to miss up the address. So in that kind of situation, what would the guest do?
I mean, there's always somebody to call. I think more than anything, even on our website, we have a line to call, and there's always somebody on the phone ready to receive all sorts of inquiries and provide all sorts of assistance. For instance, we have it's like 60 groups on WhatsApp from various countries: Burundi, Lesotho, Botswana, and anyone that pops in a group a question in those groups say, how do I register or what, or I need assistance with 2, 3, 4, 5. Our general turnaround times, like a minute or two, you definitely get somebody from the team to assist you in that sense. So, feel free, capture the number. It's all over there. Join the WhatsApp group so that, there's at least 70, 80 other people to assist you should you, have some form of challenges or not. But outside of the other people who are in the group, there's always somebody from the team to answer to any question and offer any sort of assistance.
Okay. So just for the guests that are watching, for the viewers, I want you to repeat the website, and also if you have the phone number they can contact, please, so that they can, watch every time they watch the interview, they can always copy the address and the contact number.
Okay, so the website is festacafrica.org. That's the website. FESTAC, FESTAC, Africa. Everyone knows how to write Africa, and then .org. So FESTAC, Africa.org. That's the website. When you go to the bottom of the website, you'll see there's an info of the email, and there's a number there. It's a 082 number, which is a South African number. The country code is +27. So replace the 0 with +27. So that's the number to just call on top of my head, unfortunately. But yeah, and perhaps because I also understand that this will go to YouTube. So maybe if we can throw in the links to the various WhatsApp groups or something, maybe in the comment or something like that, just for a person who's interested to join various WhatsApp groups, country groups kind of, because we have a group from Brazil, a group of the diaspora, Burundi, Cameroon, all sorts of things. So you can find, people in commonality and start making friends now, so that by the time you arrive in Arusha, you already have 15 friends to network with, and go see Tanzania with.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peka. Viewers, we've heard so much. We've come to the end of this interview. I don't know if you have anything to share, Mr. Peka.
No. We've always made a promise, you and I, that at the end of this interview, we're going to find an answer from you if you're coming or not. So we're at that point now. I'm going to do a small drum roll.
No, we're going to do it off camera, don't worry. We'll decide off camera. Viewers, we've heard a lot, and I'm sure if you don't know anything about FESTAC Africa, now you know about it. The CleverNet TV has given you an opportunity. That is to tell you what we do. We've given an opportunity for you to know more about Africa, for you to go for an event where you learn so much about where you're from, about your own continent, about the beauty in Africa, the arts, the culture, the languages, and everything. So I'm sure it can't wait to see you guys, every one of you watching this, to be at the event, including myself, but we'll talk about that later. Do you have anything you want to say to the viewers or to CleverNet TV before we go?
No, definitely. First of all, is that we must never take for granted people's time. So we must thank them for giving us this opportunity to converse with them, and giving us the opportunity to be heard more than anything, and thank them in advance for coming to Arusha, the beautiful city of Arusha, where Tanzanite is found. That's the only place you find Tanzanite in the world. So if anything, come for Tanzanite and buy some gift for your loved one or something like that. A very special rock, that's 100 times more rare than diamond and all that. So yeah, see you in Arusha, and let's keep pushing this Africa of ours to greater heights and making our small contributions where we can.
Thank you so much. And thank you viewers for watching. Don't forget, this is CleverNet TV. Please do not forget to sign up so that you can also watch this interview later on whenever you want. See you. Bye.